This is a BMW i4 electric car, and you might have noticed it's a police car. Actually, it's more than that. It is a highway patrol EV, and we're going to go for a drive in a sec. But first, let's talk price and range. And if you were to buy one of these brand new, you'd be looking at 115 grand. Range, 590 Ks on one charge. But is that enough when catching crims out in the real world? Well, to find out, we're going to go for a ride with an actual police officer. And we're off. You join me in a police car with an actual constable. Is it constable or officer?
Senior Constable.
Oh, crikey. All right, I better behave myself. Wasn't sure. So this is Senior Constable Jimmy, and he's going to be my chaperone for the night as we go along in this BMW i4 electric car. I'm going to ask some really stupid questions. But first, let me tell you some quick specs on this car. This is an i4. To buy one new, as I said at the start, 115 grand, 590 Ks per charge. However, it has a 250 kilowatt motor driving the rear wheels. It's a rear-wheel drive vehicle. And it has an just over 80 kilowatt hour battery pack, which should give it that 590 Ks in the perfect world. But here in the real world, hauling people like me around and catching bad guys at speed, well, that's a good question. How far do you typically actually get in the real world using this daily?
During my shifts, I've been at least 300, or at most 340 kilometres in a day.
What do you typically do in a day? I mean, I know what police would do, but what do you do on the beat?
So I do a mix of highway and town policing. So one day I might end up driving down to Lake Pukaki and back. Other days I'll just do a lot of road policing around Christchurch Central area.
Obviously, you're a senior constable. You must have been in this game for a while.
Yeah, so I've been doing this for 18, nearly 19 years.
19 years, okay, so you've seen a few things. So is this the first time you've been driving an electric police car?
Yeah, for sure.
Gosh,
Yeah.
it's quiet.
Yeah, it's lovely. I love it.
How does it compare, in your opinion, to driving a more traditional combustion-powered cruiser?
As for driving, I love how nimble, despite its weight, how responsive it is for the acceleration. There's no lag like in a petrol vehicle, so you can go for gaps that you sometimes need to take when you're urgent duty driving. The weight is a bit of an issue sometimes on Christchurch roads, uneven Christchurch roads because of the quakes that we had.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah,
so
didn't even think about that.
Find that we get a lot more bounce and everything's just accentuated with the weight.
Right, notice that in EVs, you do the mass does accentuate when you hit a bump. So we're stuck in traffic. I'm guessing you can't just turn the lights on and just go past everyone when you're sick of it.
No, unfortunately, we reserve those for when there's actual necessity.
Right. So what is it that you do most of the time in this vehicle? What's a highway patrol vehicle?
Driving around on the highways, looking for speeding offences and other poor driving around town. I'm looking for seatbelts and cell phone offences.
Oh, yeah, cell phones, yeah. That's
As well
gotta
as
be a massive one.
just people doing things that they shouldn't.
What's the most common thing? Is it speeding or cell phones?
Definitely cell phones around town, but speeding out on the highway, of course.
Okay, so in the real world, if you're doing highway driving and all that, some people on the internet have said that, well, these police cars, they're the electric ones, the bad guys are going to get away because you're going to run out of charge halfway through a pursuit. How true is that?
I really think it just comes down to the driver. If you're in a position where you run out of power, whatever power it is, then that's on you.
So as for charging, so we left with a full charge. I saw you unplug it when we jumped in. Where do you normally charge? Do you only charge while you're at the station, or do you go and use public charging as well?
Around town, we've got two shifts mainly that use this vehicle on road policing. So I'll have it for the morning, or someone else will have it for the morning. They'll plug it in and charge at the station, and then I'll plug it back in at the end of the day. If I'm getting low while I'm out on the road, we've got access to the charge net and also the Z charging networks. They're quite good because especially the 200 kilowatt ones, they give a real time efficient boost that's often needed.
So these electric police cars, the BMW i4s, are they typically doing regular police work, or are there some things that you wouldn't do in these that you do in the normal combustion cars?
So I've had this vehicle for just over 12 months, pretty much been my day-to-day runner. Used it for everything that I would otherwise use a petrol vehicle for.
Okay.
Haven't had to change anything that I would have done in the road policing environment.
Yeah, police officers, they're quite often car guys. I know that, car guys and car girls. What's their reaction been? Have everyone been like on board with it, or there's been some hesitation? Because the superintendent did say that there was some that weren't on board with that at first.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of myths and misconceptions about EVs, and perhaps just people are scared of the unknown, and police officers aren't immune to that. I'm all for it, and after using it, I've found that it's those range anxiety fears are unfounded. but it does change it a little bit in how you operate. I've only used it in the road policing environment. I haven't used it in a frontline capacity where you're putting prisoners in the back all the time. And
a lot of electric cars I've noticed have a lot of room. This has a little less room than some of the others, like the Ioniq 5s I've been in, or the BYDs that I've been in. Even the Tesla seems to have a little bit more room than what we've got back here. Do you ever have arrestees in the back here?
so there's been a couple of occasions where I've drink drivers in the back, or helped out someone in need and put them in the back with a police officer behind me. And I have to shunt my seat quite far forward to fit them. Yeah.
Do the arrestees ever compliment the ride quality, or have they got better things to worry about?
A lot of the time they've got other things to focus on. The biggest thing that's noticed by, especially on the Friday, Saturday night traffic with the boy race, the BMW badge stands out to them, and probably more so than the fact it's an EV.
Really?
Those kidney grills, they seem quite fond of those.
Do police cars ever stop a chase because they're running out of petrol? I think I saw that in a documentary called Police Academy.
Police Academy, yeah, that's a good one.
I got a good joke.
No, I don't think running out of petrol has ever really been the issue. It's all about what's our threat level and what's the necessity for us to keep going. And if you're chasing someone for that long that you're going to run out of fuel, you've really got to look at what's the need for this, and there'll be very few circumstances where that actually occurs, where there isn't someone else available to take over.
How often do you actually see police chases? Because I lived in the USA and it's all in the news constantly, you know. But does it actually happen much here? Are there long chases, or are they typically, I don't even know what the rules are.
I guess a lot of our pursuits are quite short in duration.
People normally realise that, you know, they've been nicked.
Yeah.
We've got all these toys in front of us. What are all of these toys? I'm familiar with the BMW infotainment system, but like, what's this thing you've got your hand on right now? What's that?
So this here is a remote that operates the radar unit, which tells me how fast other vehicles are going.
Oh, I see. Is this how it works? This is behind the scenes stuff here. I never get to see this.
So we've got this antenna here, which sends out its radar waves. Those will bounce back off the vehicle that's coming towards me, in this case that white truck, and when I press the button I'll get a readout for its speed. It's usually adding my speed to the other vehicle's speed and telling me that I'm going twice what I'm actually going.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha.
It's telling me that this white car is doing 48, 46, and this one's increasing.
Why is it making that horrific noise?
So that's called a Doppler tone.
Oh, okay. Is that how it's doing it?
So the Doppler will just indicate the consistency of the signal that's being picked up, and it's all very technically
this is above my pay grade.
Scientific stuff.
So you're busy controlling the radar right now. What else have we got down here? This is obviously your comm system.
So we've got our police radio, which is turned down at the moment.
You can still hear it in your ear,
I can hear it in my ear.
Okay.
We've got the light bar controls.
Oh, no way.
And the ignition bypass for the secondary battery power. So you get your front and rear flashing lights over here, left and right alley lights to illuminate when you're going past a driveway or looking up a dark street to the side. Your controls here will turn the sirens, turn the lights on first phase.
Gotcha. Yep.
And then it will turn lights and siren as you go through and cycle through different tones.
So we've given you the basics of the car. We're now on the hunt for bad guys. How hard is that likely to be?
It's not the ideal time of day for it, to be honest, with the rush hour.
Why is that? Traffic, speed?
Traffic volumes, less room on the roads, people tend to speed less.
Has this changed your perception in any way of EVs?
Like, I've always thought that just a new car would be nice.
Oh yeah, I know the feeling.
I'm still rocking around a 25-year-old car, or older.
Oh yeah.
So if I could afford an EV, I'd buy an EV. But
right. What's your overall impression of the BMW i4 as a police vehicle?
Yeah, I guess I'm not really looking at the BMW i4 as a vehicle. For police, I'm looking at the platform, the EV platform. Yep. Electric is the bee's knees for me. I think it's got the responsiveness and the instant power that we need. I think they've only gone for this model because at the time the performance standard necessary to do our job and get up to those higher speeds, there wasn't a lot of other options out there, because obviously with electric vehicles the motor can go to a certain RPM and the power of the motor dictates that. Google's got a higher top speed for this one.
Gotcha.
Front, opposite, closing.
Oh dear. So I'm sitting in the car right now. I'm staying here, been told to stay here. Senior Constable Jimmy is now talking to that person who was caught speeding. As you heard, we pulled them over quickly and quietly. The talk in this thing's insane. I'm obviously blurring out the details to maintain their anonymity. All right, you made it. What happened?
Yeah. So he's had a beer down at the pub, got his son on board, and he's just jumped in the car to drive home and been going 10 k's over the speed limit. So he's tested under the legal limit for driving, but he's had some advice about making sure he eats and has a glass of water before leaving the pub.
Gotcha. God, that was one of the most exciting things that's happened all week for me. We're on the highway now, opening up the BMW's legs. Like a lot of European cars, I found got a little bit of road noise. They're a little louder on our coarse chip roads. Oh, there's also wind noise from that.
Yeah, we've got a big sign on top that catches all the wind and the light bar. It's probably the dominating noise in the car.
Probably eats a little bit of the range as well, because that sleek BMW wind resistance has just been killed.
Yeah.
You can feel that mass. It's going over the bumps. It's a heavy car.
Around the bays and over the Dyers Pass, it's pretty bumpy, and urgent duty driving, it does move about quite a bit, so you just got to make allowances for that.
God, the wind noise is astounding. It's a racket.
I mean, it's a good 6 to 10 inches above the standard roof level.
So I noticed that it's got the true speed. That's your actual speed here, and this is the BMW speed, which we all know they're a little bit over, a little bit higher.
Yeah. So our for the purposes of speed detection and enforcement, we put all our vehicles through a certified speedometer.
Gotcha.
Process. It tells us the true speed of the vehicle, which is used to set this true speed device.
Gotcha.
I mean, the tricky thing with us is the lack of infrastructure, especially out in those rural areas. If you go with 3 police cars and one of them's an EV and I have to charge up, that's half an hour out.
Okay, more charges.
More charges.
Charging providers, if you're watching, pay attention, install more charges.
More superchargers.
And supercharger, yeah. Thank you, Jimmy, for tolerating me for an afternoon. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I think the only thing that we're missing in New Zealand now is just a wider charging network. I think would increase the amount of electric police vehicles, but otherwise, it seems to be doing all right.
Yeah.
Good. I'll work with that.